Have you ever been talking to someone and they said this? Yeah, bro, I just put saturation in my drums, man, it sounds so good. First of all, what the hell is saturation? And second of all I asked you was how many more sets do you have on the bench press? For this video, I'm going to go over three things. What is saturation? What it sounds like on different instruments? And how and when to use it in your tracks. To start off, people use the terms distortion, saturation, and overdrive to mean the same thing. Each of these effects adds what's called harmonics to your sound. You can think about harmonics like this. If I played a note on the piano, this note is made up of a bunch of different frequencies. As you can see by the EQ on the bottom, the different red lines are the different frequencies in the sound. The volume of these different frequencies determines the sound of your instrument. A guitar sounds different from a piano, which sounds different from a flute, because of the additional frequencies on top of the core note. When one of these frequencies is a multiple of the initial frequency, it's called a harmonic. Anything that isn't a nice multiple gets left out, just like me when I try to play pickup basketball. They all think I can't play because I'm white. Also probably because I play in chunky dad shoes. Alright, enough about me, back to the music. For this note, the main frequency, which is called the first harmonic, is at 300 Hz. The second harmonic note will be at 600 Hz, since 300 times 2 is 600, and the third harmonic would be at 900 Hz. This is the second harmonic. And this is the third harmonic. What does this have to do with saturation? Good thing I asked. Saturation adds these harmonics to your signal. By doing this, we can add more cool frequencies to your sound. The fuzzy or distorted sound often comes from people hearing the high frequency range filled up by these harmonics. As an example, let's listen to this guitar part by itself. As we can see by the graph, there's not a ton of frequencies up here. When we add distortion, that's going to change. Here's the guitar sample with distortion. As we can see, the frequency range up here is really filled out. That gives it that distorted, fuzzy feeling. If we add this EQ here, which takes out the high frequencies, we'll really be able to hear the difference between the distorted signal with high frequencies and without. Do you see how it sounds a little bit less fuzzy and distorted? So, when should we use saturation in our tracks? The most common effect that people use is distortion on guitars in rock and metal. The effect is super common, and I'm sure most of you will be able to tell if a guitar is being distorted. Honestly, most people use saturation in a ton of different parts of their tracks, even the master channel. It really depends on the vibe that you want. But, since that's kind of a cop-out answer, I'll give you 3 suggestions. You can saturate your vocal track. Saturating your vocal samples or your main vocals can be a really cool effect to use. There are many rappers that put distortion or saturation on their main vocal. If you listen to So What You Want by the Beastie Boys, you can really hear this effect. Second, saturate your snares and your kicks to make them more punchy and cut through your tracks. This really allows you to hear your snares and your kicks a lot more because it adds some of those high frequencies that cuts through the tracks. The third suggestion is to automate your saturation, to make it only in certain parts of the track. You can use this to automate the distortion on your vocals or automate distortion on your drums or your guitar to have really cool different effects. So, that was saturation. Let me know if you want an explanation of different effects. Yeah, bro, I just put saturation on I can't say saturation. Saturation.